Hello everyone and welcome to the third edition of the course Online Learning Environments for the Digital School, a course strongly desired by me a few years ago and by the Potenziamenti organization, for whom I bring greetings on behalf of the President Teresa D'Andrea and also on behalf of the course director Professor Francesco Cozza. The perspective we are following is that of creating a learning community around the themes of innovation in teaching, the themes of digital teaching, of teaching with and through digital technology. In the meantime, I'll introduce myself. So we have this first form of educational communication, also to break the ice. And as is my custom, in every course I do the presentation. The course begins with the presentation of the path that we will face together for about 2 months. I am Maurizio De Rose, and I have been dealing with teaching and educational technologies for some time. I have a PhD in the field of educational technology, and I have always been involved in innovating teaching processes, training processes as a whole, through digital environments, but trying not to let the technological element, technological determinism prevail in favor instead of those that are elements of a didactic pedagogical nature. And I have always done it both from a research point of view and from a training point of view, because I am a teacher, a trainer, and also from a practical experimental point of view. And in this path, what is meanwhile the purpose? The purpose, as I said just now, is to create a community around which to discuss, learn together in a serene, calm atmosphere, as equals, I would say. Because we are in adult education, I strongly believe that technologies from this point of view can in a certain sense integrate the various contexts of training. Formal context, school and university; non-formal context, the world of associations, organizations, companies, as we are carrying out our path now, and also the informal sector, which nowadays, thanks to all social media, is spreading more and more. So, technologies, in my opinion, if well designed in the various phases of the educational design action, can favor this link here. They can favor integration and the transition between the various contexts. The course starts on the 28th, October 28th, and it will last about 2 months. The teaching load is 25 hours, but since it's all online, in e-learning mode and delivered through the e-learning platform of potenziamentifadconsulting.it, let's go and see and discuss up close what it means to do hours, in this case 25, online through the internet mode. It certainly doesn't mean being in front of a camera, a webcam, like we're doing now for 25 hours, because in-person teaching moments don't match online teaching moments, or rather the time factor, better yet, it doesn't match, because they are two different modes of knowledge representation and interaction that complement each other. They don't replace each other, but they must be planned and thought out beforehand. Over time, and I deal with this, we've been trying to refine what is a socio-constructivist model. So how will the 25 hours be structured? There will be teaching moments through video, so video lessons. This is an introductory video. As you'll see, within the course, there will be video lessons that are not very long at all, because a video lesson really should not be too long. And in the video lessons I'll propose and publish, synchronization is provided between the speaker, in my case, in our case me, and the slides that will be used. So it's a complete object through a standard that is typical of online training, and which also provides for the traceability of the activities performed by the student, because we must also comply with the regulation of the courses. So there will be training units. I have planned the structure of this course in some training units, each of which will have at least one video lesson, but in some cases there could be more than one. Alongside the video lesson, other materials will also be provided, including the very same slides that are used within the video lesson, handouts, and any other reference or in-depth materials. Within the training unit, priority is instead given to the discussion forum, since, in my opinion, in online learning environments, in online teaching environments, so that these aren't just self-training. Well, let me clarify right away that I'll guide you step by step every day. The element of interaction must prevail, the element of communication, so that an interaction and communication can be established between subjects. In this case, me, with the group of participants, but also among yourselves, and also the interaction between the individual subject and the objects of knowledge. So great importance will be given to this socio-constructivist approach. Each training unit will have roughly one forum, and within the forum, I'll ask you to discuss, reflect, and talk, but in a very flexible way. You can join in at any time. So the course is flexible from this point of view, both in terms of space, in any place. You can also access it using mobile devices, and in terms of time, at any moment. So there's a flexibility, a so-called spatio-temporal one, and all in a very calm, flexible way with my own contributions for summary and reflection. We'll build and promote a learning community in every sense of the word. Specifically, let's see what the objectives are. The goals are to provide knowledge and skills related to digital technologies in the educational and training field, to promote the development of learning environments and communities from a 2.0 perspective, to provide theoretical and scientific knowledge. I'm reading from the course syllabus. In relation to the design of educational models based on digital environments, we'll reflect on what it means to adopt technologies in the educational field, what the role and functions of technologies are within educational models, after having also provided an overview of educational technology and the various reference authors in general. Then we'll address the topic, so I'm also going over the contents, the content sheet, on what it means to design an online digital learning environment and what the main reference elements are. What changes, if anything, compared to face-to-face teaching, that is, in the classroom? What transformations and different shapes do the main elements take compared to an in-person environment? And how does the digital environment fit in relation to the in-person one, so that it's considered, in my view, as a single field of action and not seen as a replacement or an alternative? Then we'll move on to a part that's a bit more practical in nature. And at this point, as per the outline, the poster, I intend to address the topic of Google Apps for Education 2.0 with practical examples, meaning how through Google tools, because we're generally used to using Google as a search engine, but Google has many applications that in the educational field can truly provide added value. They're very much in the direction of collaborative, active, and shared teaching. From sharing materials in Google Drive to collaborative writing through Google Docs, and even more through Google Classroom, which is configured, as we'll see, as a full-fledged learning environment if used and designed in a certain way. These are the core contents and objectives, since this course is then preparatory to the evolution that we're designing together with the organization for which the poster has already been provided, which will instead cover a more advanced part where, in addition to Google tools, we'll address the creation of an e-learning environment through the Moodle platform, which is the platform we use within the course. And in this advanced course, which will start in 2020, in January of 2020, each of you will have the opportunity to use a private area to experiment and set up a path just like the one you're seeing now. But in this first course, this third edition, will focus instead on Google tools. We'll certainly gain experience as users of the Moodle e-learning environment that will be used within the course. So another goal that's cross-cutting to the content but is part of it is precisely to use and relate to new online learning environments and to start exploring their functions, features, and ways of interfacing. Regarding methodologies, when moving on, to methodologies even in an online teaching context, in my opinion, it's good to design them and highlight them. We'll use collaborative and cooperative learning, brainstorming, network sharing, and role playing, if you will, in some cases that we'll experiment with. But this time, these methodologies, which aren't born from and aren't invented by online environments, but rather are typical or should be typical of traditional teaching, will have a different structure because they'll exploit which communicative element, that of communication mediated by computers, by technological tools. At this point, I'd say I finished this first presentation, this first introductory video that I felt was necessary to start getting to know each other, to break the ice, and then gradually we'll come to realize why I, starting from a design that is quite typical of the form we originally designed and that you've already viewed in order to be here with us, made these choices. I always try to redesign the path based on individualized and personalized teaching. Therefore, in the initial phase, I'll also ask you to fill out a simple anonymous questionnaire to try to use technology even during the needs analysis and prerequisite stages. I believe, and I'm fully convinced of this, that technology should be used at every stage of the educational process. Needs analysis, planning, action, and evaluation. And not just during the action phase, that is, when content is delivered or something is explained. And so, in our own small way, over these 25 hours, we'll do this too. In this case, I'm the one taking on the commitment to survey at the level of needs analysis and prerequisites through forum interactions to gather various feedback and possibly redesign certain moments, not everything, of course, of the training action based on the feedback received. Is the concept of competency-based design in the sense that the moments of planning and evaluating are not just strictly in sequence, which is typical of objective-based design, but rather in a circular manner. And I'm convinced of this circularity. At the end of the course, of course, a certificate of participation will be issued. And each student must meet completion criteria, which you'll also find detailed on the platform. But I'll give you a preview. Everyone must watch the various video lessons, study the materials, and interact in the forums, with at least one meaningful message in each. But then, as we'll see, we'll move beyond this logic of just a single message, because then various interactions are created and the learning community is developed and promoted. And then take a final objective test, but one that only verifies knowledge. While the real assessment, the formative one, will be done through our interactions. I also hope, in conclusion, that at some points during these 2 months we can also start some live sessions, since the course is in asynchronous mode, in the sense that I will prepare the various materials and video lessons beforehand, but at certain times, always respecting everyone's schedule, let's see about also forming working groups, holding live sessions through web conferences, through webinars, where each of you can also have your say. And I will also provide the technological tool in this case to carry it all out. At this point, all that remains is to welcome everyone to the course and wish you all a good start. And I'll see you on the platform. Bye.